Welcome to Greater Good Radio Hawaii, where leaders inspire leaders. Greater Good Radio Hawaii is dedicated to social entrepreneurship. I'm your host, Evan Leong, and with me is my co-host, Carrie Leong.
Thank you, Evan. Today's guest is Matthew Meelee, President and CEO of Techmonde Corp. Please welcome to Greater Good Radio, Matthew Meelee. Welcome to our show, Matt.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So, Matt, could you tell us what Techmonde Corp does?
Well, Techmonde provides workers offshore for companies in the U.S. We provide a work environment so that companies here can have the benefits of an offshore workforce without having to set up their own operation offshore.
And why would somebody use your company?
Well, for any company that's trying to get the benefit of a offshore workforce where they can find skilled workers at different geographic areas where there's higher concentrations of skilled
So what you're basically saying is that if you find the same talent in another country, per se, then through technology you can actually utilize that?
Hawaii, for example, it's fairly difficult to find highly skilled technicians in certain areas. So we can go into a different area where there's a far greater population of these kinds of workers.
And then you bring them to the United States, or they stay there?
No, we have an office in the Philippines right now, where we provide the work environment for these workers. So we set them up with a workspace, a desk, computer, internet connection, and a U.S. phone number. We can get them a local phone number in any area code in the U.S. or toll-free numbers.
I think a lot of people are familiar with, a similar setup in India, where they have Indian type of telemarketers or callers. Is this the same situation?
Well, it's similar. We also do telemarketers. There's different variations in, outsourcing versus offshoring. Outsourcing, you're buying a particular service. They're doing a particular task for you. But ours is more the whole offshore worker where, they're a dedicated employee to your, only working on your project, just like they're your own employee, but they're remotely working.
What about the language barrier? Isn't there a language barrier?
Well, the one thing that drew me to the Philippines was that there's a really strong English-speaking population. The younger kids in the city can speak really good English. Kids, college graduates, the 22 to 30-year-old.
It's kids to us nowadays.
Yeah.
Right?
So when you're talking about companies, you're offering these companies their services or your services. What type of companies are you helping?
It's actually quite a wide range. My background's in software development, and that's what I originally started out doing there. But then we found out that there's a lot of good journalists there, technical writers, graphic designers, engineers for design and CAD drafting, architects.
And there's a number of local engineering companies and architecture firms that have been doing business with the Philippines for 20 plus years.
Right. So that's definitely a strong area there.
So you think it's because of the internet that makes this possible, or what? Well,
the internet definitely helps with narrowing the gap, the distance, so we can provide, cheaper, free, long-distance telephone calls now, and then the instant messaging and voice, video conferencing to make it seem like they're, right next door. And, a lot of times you can get them to work against your U.S. office schedule. So
you can almost work 24 hours, right? At that point, we work during the day here, and then they work during our night.
It depends on...
Because that's their day.
Well, it depends on the needs of the businesses here. Either we can have their people abroad working in sync with the U.S. office, if that fits their needs better, or they can work the regular business hours over there, which is kind of the night schedule here, or they can work 24 hours over there if their business requires it.
Thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned for more on Greater Good Radio.